Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today on this glorious day, sat in the old jalopy on Hunters Hill Quarry Car Park, which is a little beauty spot in the village of Rattington in Lancashire, and it's not too far away from my hometown of Wigan. As such, this is an area that I come to quite a lot for a bit of a bimble and to stretch the old legaroonies. And I've made one or two videos from this particular car park, and today's no different. I'm going to make a quick video, then go for a bit of a bimble, and as I say, stretch the old legaroonies. Now, the purpose of today's video is to address a question that has been asked by many of you out there across a number of my latest videos. And that question is, have you lost a bit of weight, Mr H? Well, Hot Potters, I'm pleased to say that I have indeed lost what turns out to be quite a bit of weight. Now, there's no need to panic, there's no need to get alarmed or anything like that. I'm not ill or ailing for anything. Big thank you to Matt W, before I go any further, for leaving a comment on my last video, just basically stating, can't help but notice the weight loss, Mr H. I hope everything's okay. Well, sir, I'm in fine fettle and I'm enjoying the weight loss, so there's no need to worry. But I thought I'd make a video and talk about my weight loss journey. Now, it all began in 2020, that strange period with the old pandemic and all that kind of bad stuff. And towards the back end of 2020, my father was unfortunately diagnosed with terminal cancer, and he was due to be released back home for the disease to take its natural course. Now, on the face of it, that sounds terrible, the NHS discharging people, sending them home to die. Well, it was my father's choice. He knew that nothing could be done for him, unfortunately. He was 82 years old, he felt he'd had a very good life, and he just said to me, there's only one thing that I want, Roy, and that is to pass away in my own home and basically die with his boots on. He didn't want to pass away in either a hospital or a hospice bed surrounded by strangers. And who was I to deny him that? So I made an agreement with Mrs H that we would make whatever time my dad had left on earth, we'd make it as comfortable for him as we could. However, it did put pressure on us as an extended family, not least because I'm an only child. I don't have brothers and sisters, so there was no one to share the burden. Either I stepped up to the plate or I didn't, and my father would have been left on his own. And I didn't want that, because I know that if the situation was reversed, my dad would have done anything and everything that he could for me. So, as I say, it did put pressure on us. Now, the evening before the day he was due to be released home, I came within a cat's whisker of an heart attack. All the pressure that had been building up and the fact that I was overweight finally took its toll on my body. Unfortunately, I was on my own when this incident happened. And all I can describe it like, Hot Potters, is being in the sea, seeing the shoreline, wanting to get back to the shoreline, but you can't. The tide's pulling you back. And the scary thing is that for a brief second, and it was only a brief second, I was tempted to just go with it and just let nature take its course. No sooner had I had that thought in my head, reality kicked in, and I thought, hang on, I can't be going anywhere here, because I've got a wife and at the time a 2-year-old son that's relying on me, and I can't be beating my father to the cemetery. For one thing, parents should never have to bury the children. So I quickly calmed down and managed to sort myself out, although I was struggling for breath and the old ticker was going 90 to the dozen. But I managed to calm myself down. And at that moment, I made a vow that when it was all over with, regarding my dad, that I would make a real proper effort to lose weight. Because up to then, I had tried to lose weight in the past, but I'd done the usual man thing, where you go on the cutthroat diet, and you last a month if you're lucky on that game, before you fall off the wagon, you end up piling that weight that you lost back on and a little bit more. And it can be a vicious cycle. What you need to do is basically change your eating habits, which is what I've done. I know I no longer go to places like McDonald's, and we very rarely eat out at pubs. Before that, we was doing a lot of that. Same with the fish and chips and the pies, to be honest. I still like my fish and chips, and I still like my mate and Prater pies, as many of you out there know. However, it's everything in moderation. Now, at my worst, I've probably been, if you go back through my old video catalogue, at my worst I've probably been 20 stone, pushing on for 21 if I'm being honest. However, at the last weigh-in, I'm now 14.7, which on the BMI scale isn't great for my height, but it's the only thing that we can go off is the BMI. And I look at it this way: yes, I'm not the correct BMI, but I'm no longer 20 stone. So there we have it, really. I was scared into weight loss. I'm not going to pretend as weight loss is easy. It's not. I have struggled with my weight all my adult life. The only time I really got a grip on it was when I was working in the building trade. It was a very physically demanding job, and therefore I could eat what I wanted mainly. I could go to the fish and chip shop at dinner time, get myself a portion of fish and chips, and then jump back on trowel and back heel 250 bricks in before home time. But once I'd come out of the building trade, it was just like sportsmen when they retire. If you carry on with the same diet that you had and you're not doing the exercise, you just pile the weight on. So I have struggled. I had my appendix out when I was 14. They don't know what the appendix are for, but I think it has something to do with food control, because before that I was always slim and I was pretty wiry. After that I started putting weight on and I've always struggled to keep it down. But as a side note, what was more interesting was I later learned, and this is how I know I was close to an heart attack, that when your heart is under stress, your body releases chemicals. It naturally releases chemicals to help you with the transition and to calm you down. It's a bit like when prisoners are given a calming injection before they're given the lethal injection to stop them panicking and that. That's what your body naturally does. So that's how I know what was happening. And if I hadn't got that image of Mrs. H and Toby James in my head and said to myself, no, I'm going nowhere, I'm going to have to fight this, I don't think I'd be here today making this video. And like I say, that is the reason why I've lost weight, and I intend keeping it off, which, touch wood, I've managed to do. So we'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, the correct weight for me, for my height and age, is supposedly 12.5 stone. However, you've got to be realistic, and there's nothing worse than seeing somebody walking around and saying, he could do with a good feed, that man. Or he could do with a good feed, that gentleman, for those of you who don't speak Wiganese. And the truth is, they're probably the correct weight, it's just that it doesn't look right on them. The BMI scale is very unfair. Even the medical profession say it's not really a good measure. However, it's all that we have. But I feel a lot better for losing weight. I feel like I've got a lot more energy and I can do a lot more. And having a 7-year-old and running round after him, that's a good thing as well. I didn't want to be one of these dads that was sat there, because I came to fatherhood late. I was 44 when Mrs. H got pregnant. And I knew at that stage, I didn't want to be one of these fathers that was saying, just hold on a minute, lad, I'll be with you in a minute. Because all that happens is, your kid quickly learns, there's no point asking my dad for play games and stuff, he can't do it. And I didn't want that, I don't want to miss out on that. I'm also the wrong side of 50 to be carrying extra weight. let's be brutal, Hot Potters. The Reaper is going to catch up with each and every one of us one day. However, why make it easy for him? Because I don't intend doing that. Like I said, I came to the Fatherhood late, which means there's probably going to be a lot of things that I'm not going to see in my son's life. However, I'm going to be here for as many of them as I can. So there we have it. That's my weight loss story. That's the reason behind it. And just to let you know, I'm not ailing for anything and I'm not ill. So, I'm going to leave it here. I'm now going to wrap this video up and exit the old jalopy and go for a bit of a bimble and stretch the old legaroonies and keep the old weight loss and fitness programme going. So, until the next time, from myself, Mr. H, here at Hunters Hill Quarry Car Park in Wrightington, it is bye-bye for now.